you ever had one of those days where you feel like you got nothing done? You feel so unaccomplished. You feel like a loser. You feel like you're just putting one foot in front of the other and it's hard to get out of bed. I had one of these days this week. I had many of these days in the past, but the day before I had one of these blah days, one of these blah moments, blah mornings. The day before, I was talking to someone, and throughout our conversation, she brought up to me how down she was feeling, how blah she was feeling, how guilty she was feeling, finally putting her kids to bed and just wanting to get something done around the house, yet also knowing that she needs to nurture herself, but feeling bad if she even starts to, because she should have done X, Y, and Z. And I told her I was really in a position to tell her some amazing, amazing pieces of advice. And they're only amazing because I learned them myself that same week. You know, Torah teaches us that before the problem, there's a solution. Hashem, our God, gives us a solution first before he gives us the problem. So I was grateful for the solution, which I'm about to share with you in this talk. And at the end, I'm going to give you 2 practical tips and perspectives on how to motivate yourself to see the worth in what you're doing. Every thought, word, and action that I do goes up a celestial highway. When you've seen a highway, you've drove in a highway, you know that the highway is always moving. There's always some movement going this way and that way. We live in this world. We create thoughts, actions, deeds, and we say words that create, that testify what we did, what we said, what we thought about. And these mitzvot that we create are going up the celestial highway. They're going up to Shemaim. They're going up to heaven. We want that highway to be incredibly crowded, to have so much mitzvot. But what about those days when you feel like you had nothing done? How do you feel accomplished? How do you feel proud of yourself? We must know first and foremost that our thoughts, our words, and our actions bring down blessings into this world. So I can think about something. I can put thought into what I'm doing, and I could be doing absolutely nothing. I could be resting on the couch. I could be drinking a delicious drink and just meditating, or I could pray, or I could just zone out. It's still considered a mitzvah because I put intent and thought into it that this is what I need right now in order to nurture myself. And in this way, this becomes a mitzvah, and Hashem showers down bracha, blessings into the world. And we need blessings all the time. Livelihood, which is parnasa tova, good health, recovery, happiness, that job, that baby, that shidduch, meaning that 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 marriage to happen finally. You know, everything is a blessing. The blessings don't come down to this world unless we propel them. We have the control panel to this world. Whatever we do, we affect what comes down to this world. The mitzvah that we do is racing up, and the bracha, the blessing, is racing down, coming down to us. We need to use the power of our imagination to understand the grandeur of what we're doing. Now, you could say to yourself, I don't have an imagination. I'm not a teacher. I'm not an actress. You have an amazing imagination. And the reason why you have an amazing imagination is because you're always imagining things. Most of the time, most people imagine the worst. They worry, they stress, they feel overwhelmed, and these are all natural feelings. However, if I train myself to imagine the grandeur of what I'm doing, it's so big, it's so amazing what I'm doing. This is a mitzvah. I'm taking care of my health. It looks like I'm doing nothing, but I'm doing something. I'm watching what I say because what I say testifies What I'm creating the blessing. I want to be the shaliach. I want to be the messenger for good, for bracha into this world. So most people use the power of their imagination to their detriment. Unfortunately, we worry a lot. We imagine the worst. Let's imagine the best. And let's imagine what you are doing is actually so incredibly powerful and so incredibly great, because it is. And the reason why we don't see the power of what we are doing, the reason why I don't see, wow, I didn't say what I wanted to say, or I put thought into this mitzvah, I did it out of happiness. The reason why we don't see it is because if we would see it, we would lose our free will. We wouldn't get rewarded for it, because it's like right there, like I see what I'm doing, and it's like you're being forced to it, almost cajoled, almost somebody's persuading you, convincing you, and showing you like, listen, you do this, you get that. We don't live in this physical world for this physical world. We live in the physical world for the world to come, for the spiritual world, and we want to get that reward, and we have to earn it. And by earning it, we need to do what our Creator created us to do. And you know what? Mitzvot do feel good. It's hard work, but as we said in our previous classes, we are here to work hard. Life is here. Life is given to us in order for us to work really hard. Now, we must use our power well as we live in the reality of this world. I should be pumped up for my ability to send bracha to this world, that I just want to do and be so much more. I want to be intoxicated with bringing more bracha, more blessing into the world. Now, most people live with one harmful myth in their life, and that is the myth of competition. I need to be like these relatives. I need to be like my neighbors. I need to be like my friends. Psychologically, subconsciously, we just like want to be more like them. And we feel so low about ourselves because we don't have the skills like they have. We don't have what they have, whether it's a big home, whether it's a more parnasa, more money, whether it's more children. We feel like less than because she can do so much during this quarantine time. Look what she's doing, and I'm doing practically nothing. You're not doing practically nothing. We're not here to compete with other people, because life isn't created to be a competition in the first place. And unfortunately, many people do. We don't want to waste our life living this way, because it's a waste of time, a waste of our precious time. The person who even lived for a long time, old people, 90 years old, older, they will tell you life is so fast. Time flies. So let's capitalize on the time that we have and understand that even though me and her have the same Torah, we have the same obligations to fulfill mitzvot, we don't have the same abilities, we don't have the same capabilities. We're not the same people. So stop competing. Stop wanting to be like them. Stop wanting to be like her. Life isn't a competition. We have to be grateful for what we are capable of doing. We need to show Hashem we are doing the very best we can. When we learn from people that we admire, the qualities that they have, maybe she's calmer, maybe she's more patient, maybe she's more spiritual, we actually like them more. We want to be with them. We want to be around them. We want to talk to them. But if you start liking what they have, wanting what they have, wanting to be like them, meaning like if they have a great position, if they're making more money, if you want to have what they have, either they're being honored, respected, have more children, a bigger home, more money, you want what they have, what happens is you end up hating them. You end up resenting them. You end up feeling jealous. And you end up having this inner hatred towards yourself, of course, towards that other person. So life isn't created to be a competition. This invites a lot of judgmentalism, a lot of comparing. I can do it. What's her problem? Why can't she do it? I can bake from scratch without even looking at a recipe. Why can't she do it? Personally, I can't bake from scratch. I need to follow a recipe always, um, which is another story. So I want to share a story that Rebbetzin Esther Schwartz shared. She lived in Cleveland for a while, and then she moved to Muncie. She's lived in Muncie after she lived there for about 30 years. She visits Cleveland every single summer because her husband has a camp there. So one summer when she's there, 30 years into living in Muncie, she meets a friend who she was very close to only because they lived close by. They did many things together, and she was very close to her. And finally, she told her after 30 years, she said, "Listen, I just wanted to share something with you. All those years when I lived in Cleveland, being with you, I really felt less than you. I felt less than you. I felt like you were better than me." And her friend said, "Really? I felt less than you." And she said, "Really?" And she's like, she wanted to know why. But the point is, these were two lovely people. Now, from the time of age and maturity, they realized that, Rebbe Tereste Bill Schwartz realized that, we were two lovely people. She didn't realize that now, but after meeting her, she said we were two lovely people. We have different strengths, we have different abilities, we had different challenges. We could have enjoyed ourselves more, loved ourselves more, and not resented not being somebody they weren't meant to become. We have to love and serve Hashem with who we are, not with who she is. Life is not a competition with other people or with ourselves. It's so important for us to understand this big point. I really want to give over this amazing message. Please do not compete with yourself. Do not compete with what you did yesterday. You had different abilities yesterday. You had different strengths yesterday. You had a different amount of motivation yesterday, whether it's physical strength, emotional strength. It was different. So we can't compete with ourselves in that way. A personal story of mine is someone who I know during this pandemic, she always stayed home, especially in the beginning of the corona pandemic. And knowing myself, first of all, I love nature and I need to come out of the house a few times a day, once, twice. I need that for myself. This is what I'm used to. But she is more like a homebody. She loves being home. She's always home. Comparing myself to her, I could have felt less than. But I know that this is not what I am. So why should I be more of a homebody? And that made me feel initially like guilty, like, am I doing something wrong? Am I a bad mother? I'm not being home enough. I'm not being with my kids enough. I'm not doing more around the house. But no, but knowing from a perspective of who I am and what I need to be out. I need my exercise. I need fresh air. And maybe to this person, just being in her porch or her backyard or, opening up her window, maybe that works for her. It doesn't work for me. And because I learned this, I know this is not what I need. And I need to nurture myself with what I need. We need to understand life is not stagnant. Life doesn't remain the same. It's not the same. Yesterday, I had certain amount of strength. I had certain amount of abilities and capabilities. Today, I may not have the motivation to get out of bed. Everything seems so hard. And that's because we may be stressed, overwhelmed, physically tired, emotionally drained. Perfectly understandable. The most important thing to remember here is that I don't need to feel bad because yesterday I did a million things and today I did nothing. Yes, you did. Because if you put the right thought into your head that right now I need nurturing, I need time, and don't feel bad that your kids are having more. This is my personal advice. Don't feel bad that your kids are having more screen time. You're having more downtime. Don't feel bad. If you need different things right now, and the biggest gift we can give our families, as I mentioned in our previous classes, is the gift of a happy mother. Even if it's a fake smile, they need to feel that their mother is content and happy. Please don't think that what you're doing is nothing. That's what I told the person who I was talking to this week, and it really calmed her down. And what's more meaningful is that at the end of the day or the next day when I spoke to her again, she said, "Your advice helped me so much. It really did. I was just really kind to myself. I didn't feel bad about what I'm doing. I treated myself." She bought herself some goodies that, some yummy food to eat that she wouldn't eat when she was being more healthier or watching how she eats. She said, "I felt so good about myself. I watched something, I relaxed, more time for me, and yes, I got less things done, but I didn't feel guilty about it, and I want to thank you for it." And I was grateful to give this over only because I learned it myself, and I hope it can help someone out there as well. There is no way for a mitzvah to be rewarded in this world. There is no way. All the beauty, splendor, and magnificence in this world is not enough to reward a tiny little mitzvah that a person does in this world. The earth was meant to be a heavenly existence in this world. It's meant to be heavenly, but we don't know what that feels like. We don't know. We live in exile. We live in galut. We don't know what true serenity and true contentment feels like. But we can't live in a heavenly existence. And the reason why there's so much pain in this world and there's so much suffering is because even though I'm doing, I may be doing a mitzvah here and there and really trying, and there's so many amazing people, so many good people out there who are really trying, despite their circumstances, despite their backdrop, despite their challenges, that even though I'm doing this and like the whole world, I feel like maybe it's upside down. It's because we're up against so many people who are not doing the right thing. We can live in a heavenly existence. How can we live in a heavenly existence? By living by these two perspectives. And I'm going to share them with you. These are the practical tips of how we can use our imagination in order for us to live in the perspective of heaven. Perspective number one is live with the perspective of Shamayim. Whenever you do something, know that this is not the reward that you get in this world for this. You're not going to get the reward in this world fully anyway. You may get a taste of it. Just a little example, your child is listening to you. It feels so good when a child is listening to you. You feel like you're a good parent. But there's so much more that you get. You were calmer, you were kinder, you're an example, you're a role model. Now the child looks up to you, there's connection. There's so much more. You just created a reality, a seed into this child to behave this way for generations because that will carry over. There's so much. There's just layers upon layers. We don't even understand it. We can't even think about this. It's just too much for our brain. We're not meant to understand it. But if I live through the perspective of Shamayim, I live through the perspective of the next world, I'm doing things for the next world. I will be rewarded for the next world. And yes, the ideal is not to do things for reward, but we like acknowledgement. We like to feel good about ourselves. And we need to mentally, through our imagination, imagine that what I'm doing is worth it. Perspective number two. Live with the perspective of the treasure chests that you are creating. If I watch what I say, if I say something nice, when I want to say something mean, especially because we're rewarded for our effort. If I'm in a good mood and I'm sweet and I'm kind, that's probably less of a reward than if I'm upset and I'm stressed and I'm angry and I don't say what I want to say and I even fake it. I fake my kind words. That's more of a reward because I was up against a challenge. It was hard for me. It was more effort exerted. So The second perspective is constantly think of the treasure chest. I want bracha coming down to this world, and that will help me bring more blessings into this world. All the good in this world is because of us. The coronavirus is contagious only if you are in contact with someone with the coronavirus. However, mitzvot are also contagious. The good deeds that you do are also contagious. Once you start doing them, you want to do more. But they're not limited through space or time. When you do a mitzvah, someone, somewhere, somehow, at some time, is going to benefit from it. Benefit from a good livelihood, a recovery, um, that marriage, that date being successful, whatever that it is, shalom bayit, happiness and peace in the home, that child recovering from a sickness or anything that we want, those are treasure chests that are being unlocked because of the mitzvah that you did, and it could benefit someone at some time. We have to become spiritually intoxicated with our power. It will help us to maximize our productivity spiritually. We will be the best people that we can be. In the here and the now, the struggle feels very real. But we must know that if we see the value of what we're doing, as we said earlier, if we see the value of what we're doing, then our free will be removed. I want to share with you one last powerful thought. In Pirkei Avot, we learn who is a wealthy person. And this is a powerful tool in how we can motivate and push ourselves to be all that we can be. Who is a wealthy person? The answer is a wealthy person is someone who is completely happy with what he has. What do you mean? I have to be happy with what I have, with so little in my life? Yes. And I'm not there yet. I feel so less than. I'm not, I don't, I'm not the spiritually um, um, developed person. Don't worry about it. You are wealthy because you're happy with yourself. You love yourself. You appreciate yourself. You're happy with what you have, with all your possessions, you're happy with who's in your life. You're happy with what you have. You're happy with having less than her. You're happy with everything, all your abilities, all your weaknesses, your strengths, your failures. You are happy because at this point in your life, this is what you need. And that is a wealthy person. Appreciating the insights of Rebbetzin Esther Baylor Schwartz, Leah Abramov, Being and Becoming, awakening awareness of your greatness and potential.